All right, so Kidron, everyone calls me Kid. It's a lot easier to remember. I've been working in this field for a long time, for about like 12 years now. I'm 29, so I've been doing this since I was 18. Giving some backstory. Back in 2013, right after my 18th birthday, I was diagnosed HIV positive. Growing up, my father was very like talkative about like protection and everything like that. But it was more so from like the straight lens and not so much from like a gay man's experience. So like he gave me some of the right tools, but I just feel like not all of them like applied to me. So going out into the real world, I felt like I was a little bit ill prepared. But becoming a volunteer with the work that I do, that's where I learned everything I needed to know. Because how my dad told me how HIV worked was totally wrong. Going through this, I learned how HIV works and the actual ways that it's transmitted, and how to protect yourself and prevent it from happening. Understanding like how young I was, I didn't want anyone else going through that, which pushed me to actually, go harder in the paint with this field of work and educate others, because it's important. We don't always have the right access to information, so I wanted to be one of those outlets to create that bridge for that information.
I'm a professor of medicine and public health of the Keck School of Medicine of the University of Southern California. Well, I think they're going wrong with HIV today in terms of not understanding that it's treatable, that one pill a day is very effective treatment. However, there are costs of those treatments, right? So people need health insurance, people need care paid for, people need the medications paid for. In 2025, we're heading into a place where health insurance is being stripped away from people, particularly the most vulnerable, particularly people of the lowest socioeconomic status. Their ability to take care of HIV is also going away. Now we're seeing much higher rates of new HIV infections in Blacks and Latinos in a disproportionate amount. It depends obviously in what part of the country, but may only make up 10, 20, 30% of people in the population. They're about double in terms of their risk for new infections. A lot of that is socioeconomically driven. They don't have access to health care or a primary care physician. A lot of it is due to stigma within those communities. There may be, family or religious factors that contribute to increased stigma and issues of homophobia and stigma against mental health or substance use issues.
I believe that one of those things is the acceptance of being gay. I think, especially in Black and Latin households, that was also definitely one of my things I was worried about, was to be accepted. I feel like that within itself creates so many barriers to like access to health or information or even just talking about it in general. When you're told that this is something that is wrong, you shouldn't be doing this, and X, Y, and Z, and then you're actually doing it, it kind of can silence you. And then that right there just creates a whole whirlwind of issues. Internally, keeping all that stuff to yourself, can prevent you from even seeking out the help. Because the things are out there, things are available. Today's day and age, like we have literally many computers in our hands, you can look up anything. But when we're not getting that push or not educating ourselves or not even talking about it, I think that prevents us from even being aware of what's around us and that knowing there's like a plethora of help out there. And that was my experience. I didn't talk about much, even though my dad suspected. He kind of was hinting, he's like, I know you are. And I was like, mm-mm. That's probably a story for like a lot of youth out there. You know, it's just that they're not feeling safe with the people that they should feel safe with.
Short answer is no. We've done 2 recent surveys among UCLA undergraduates and USC undergraduates, and only 30 to 40% of the students passed a kind of sexual and reproductive health knowledge survey. So we have a long ways to go. I mean, sex is fun, sex is a good thing, sex is good for your mental health, it's good for your physical health. We want people to enjoy sex. We don't want them to be shamed about sex. We don't want them to be fearful about sex. But just like any other activity, you know, there are consequences. You ride a bike, occasionally you fall off. So we need to prepare people for, you know, perhaps unexpected consequences, and we're really not doing that. And if anything, now in 2025, unfortunately, we're going backwards.
Back in when I was in high school, what we were taught in sex ed was literally just like a one-time thing and wasn't touched on again. And they didn't talk about the gay experience, you know, and what that can look like and what the things you have to look out for. They did talk about the STIs and everything like that. I feel like that was more of like a boo, scary type of factor. But it wasn't really, I don't think it was too helpful. Here at the center, I've been here for about like 6 years. And one of the things that reminds me of why I do what I do is just seeing the individuals that I've interacted with and that I've touched. We do have an HIV positive support group here. It's called Positive Vibes. We kind of just like would play, like watch a movie or do a puzzle or something like that. And just be around other people who've gone through similar experiences and don't really necessarily need to talk about what happened, but if they want to, the space is open for that. So the event that's signed up for is our weekly game night, which happens every Thursday. We get together and play a bunch of video games, card games, board games, and it's a big mixed crowd of people. So like we have some old folks playing spades, then we have people playing Smash Bros, and we have people playing. Me going and being part of the group that I was in, even though it wasn't an HIV positive support group, it still like empowered me and still kept me sane. I do internally feel that my purpose on this planet is to help people. And that's why there's times that I think about like me becoming positive and stuff like that, which kind of directed me into this path. It's kind of like a blessing and a curse in some type of sense. And, you know, if I were to go back and be able to change anything, I wouldn't, you know, because I wouldn't have had the experiences that I've had and helped the people that I've helped.
It really has to assure there's 100% access for everyone, and that really means it has to have no barriers to access. The testing must be free. 24/7, testing sites must be open on the weekends, must be open at nighttime, and must have culturally competent, you know, non-judgmental people who are interacting with people who are seeking testing. We have the tools, right? We have the tests, we have the prevention interventions, we have the treatment medications, but we have to make them universally available to people. We need stronger local public health systems where public health workers, community outreach workers can go out, can build capacity, education, awareness in affected communities, and make sure that people are taking advantage of this technology. I mean, we've spent tens, probably hundreds of billions of dollars over the past nearly 40 years investing in these technologies, but the benefits of these technologies have not been fully realized because we haven't made them consistently and freely available.
Knowledge is starting to be spread out more and more. It's starting to be also a little bit more widely accepted, and I feel like eventually, you know, hopefully one day we will get a cure.
It's hard to be a scientist and not be optimistic, or a doctor, I think, and not be optimistic that, you know, people will get better. And I am hopeful about, you know, the current generation has more access to information and technology than ever before. Also, you know, as a professor, I have an influx of new, amazing, young PhD students, candidates who are, you know, want to change the world. And as long as, you know, we keep breeding people who want to change the world, we will. and that gives me hope and a lot of optimism for the future.